Good, how are you?
Okay, sir.
Nice to see you.
How are you?
How are you? Good to see you.
Okay, well, what did the president say to you, and have you changed your mind on the crime bill?
No, I've not changed my mind at this point. I talked to the president about some very serious issues that are very compassionate to me, very emotional to me, and that is the death penalty and 3 strikes you're out. I'm very serious when it comes to the death penalty because I don't think the federal government ought to be adding 60 new death penalties into the crime bill, 1. And 2, 3 strikes you're out is not something, in my opinion, will solve one crime in this country. We incarcerate in this country more people than any other industrialized country in America. At the end of 1993, we had 1.4 million people in jail. Building prisons is not the answer to the crime problem.
Well, what
Could
would
you
it
bring
take
yourself
you
to vote to bring the bill to a vote, even if you didn't vote for the bill itself?
Well, that's what we're dealing with at this point. I do think that the American people ought to have debate on the crime bill. I'm pushing as far and as hard as I can to get some concession in the area of capital punishment. I'm going to be meeting with the Attorney General today, and I've met with the President. I think there needs to be some concession, even if we don't address it in this bill. There needs to be some vehicle, even if it's separate from this bill.
Would you accept a letter from Janet Reno which would give you some kind of reassurances about the way capital punishment would be carried out?
That will make it the bill a little bit more compatible. I don't think I'm going to vote for the bill. The only question here is whether or not we allow the Congress to debate the issue.
So you might vote for the rule if you get some assurances about the death penalty.
There's a strong possibility I may vote for the rule if I feel a little bit more confident and more comfortable about how we deal with capital punishment. I mean, we're talking life and death. I mean, why the American people want a crime bill, we got to look at the kind of crime bill we're going to pass.
What about colleagues who voted with you? What about colleagues who voted with you on the last round? Do you think that...
I don't think colleagues voted with me as much as they were voting their convictions.
But in agreeing to the same principles that made you decide to vote no on bringing the bill.
Do you think any other members of the Black Caucus?
Shift?
I don't know. I can't speak for any other member, not only of the Black Caucus, but any other member of Congress in general. This is something that members have to decide themselves.
What arguments did the president
tell you?
Well, the president certainly wants to get the bill up to the floor for a full floor debate. I can appreciate his concern of getting the bill up for a floor debate. I do think the American people want crime to be debated in this Congress, and I think that will eventually happen. Just the question is when we get to that point.
Did the president,
right now, we're not at that point.
Sorry. Did the president tell you that he would ask Attorney General Reno or anybody else to do the kinds of things that you said it might take for you to vote for the rule?
That is in discussion. I mean, that is certainly on his mind. He did not make any commitments one way or the other at this point. And we've not made any commitments at this point either.
Did he offer you anything else?
No, this is not about, the only concerns I have, and I want to make that emphatically clear. I mean, understanding politics is the art of compromise, but some things are non-negotiable. Capital punishment is an issue that's non-negotiable. I mean, that's permanent. That's life or death.
What if he takes
3 strikes you out, in my mind, is non-negotiable.
Taking down the White House, taking down the Democratic Party, taking down the majority in the House.
If this was a vote to take down the White House, or take down the president, or take down the Democratic Party, then of course I'd be on the other side of the V. But this is not a vote about the president. This is not a vote about taking down the Democrats. This is not a vote about anything other than how we deal with the crime problem in this country. And we just have people in this Congress who differ into how we deal with the crime problem. The other thing, we talk about prevention, for example, and I mentioned this to the president. I mean, we get all excited about the monies that are authorized for prevention. These monies, there's not a dime appropriated for prevention in this bill. It's only authorized. And I'm afraid that we're going to meet next year in this Congress and we're going to appropriate all the money for penal institutions and for the 100,000 police officers, which we should do in terms of the 100,000 police officers. And then we take the money for prevention and put it in deficit reduction and not spend the $8 billion that this bill authorizes for prevention.
So what did the president say about that?
Well, he's saying that he's going to fight for it profusely. I want some assurance that the whole administration will fight profusely for the money that's authorized in this bill for prevention. Because, I mean, this is the same Congress that voted down an $18 billion stimulus package. So I have no confidence that this Congress is going to give both appropriations to both law enforcement and prevention.
Congressman, have you spent any time in your district since you voted last Thursday?
Yes, I have.
Do you think the people in your district care more about the death penalty provisions or about the money for crime prevention and law enforcement that's in the bill?
I think people in my district feel about, I think there's diverse views in my district. I think there are people who feel very strongly about the death penalty. I think there are people who feel very strongly about prevention. I think there are people who feel very strongly about the assault weapons ban. I think there are people that feel very strongly about all the issues. And that's why people got to realize that this is not an easy issue. This is a very complex, complicated issue that must have full debate.
The president
How is the mail
was very
going?
critical last week and into, I guess, this week about those who voted against the rule in the crime bill. Did you have any discussion about those criticisms?
No, because I'm sure the president's criticism was not geared towards me. I mean, certainly the criticism, as I appreciate it, was for those who voted against it in the hope to please the NRA. I'm not concerned about pleasing the NRA because I have no problems with the assault weapons ban.
Are you
I'm
feeling
not
any
concerned
pressure?
about
What do you mean
those
you have no
individuals who
problems?
use
Do you
guns
like it?
because I'm not concerned about those individuals who use guns to hunt animals. I'm concerned about the animals we have in this country who use guns to hunt people.
Are you getting
so I
any-
very much support the ban on assault weapons.
What kind of mail and phone calls and faxes are you getting in your office?
We're receiving a lot of mail and phone calls and faxes. I mean, people who feel that we're doing the right thing, people who feel that we're not doing the right thing.
Which way is it going?
I have not checked the latest poll, but this is not a issue that you put your finger in the air and just look at your facts. This is an issue that I have to go to bed with every
Congressman,
night.
you
sounds
said
like
that
it-
this was not about bringing down the presidency, but to a lot of people, particularly here in the White House, there's a feeling that if the president cannot at least get a vote on the actual bill itself, that it will undercut his effectiveness across the board. Do you have some concerns about that?
Well, I think we're going to vote on a crime bill at some point, if not this session of Congress, next session of Congress. I believe we're going to do it this session of Congress. But there are certain things that we must talk about. We got to talk about capital punishment. We're talking about adding 60 more death penalties to the federal statute. We got to talk about 3 strikes you're out. I mean, let's talk to the taxpayers in this country about building all these prisons and housing all these prisoners. I mean, this is going to be a serious fiscal impact on the taxpayers of this country when we start talking about incarcerating people for life. And that debate needs to be
It
had.
sounds, though, that you're going to vote for the rule, even if you oppose the actual conference report.
It sounds like it's going to be very difficult for me to vote for the bill, and I think that the American people of the Congress will debate the bill at some point.
So you will vote for the rule?
No, I'm not telling you I'm going to vote for the rule and going to vote against the rule. I'm telling you that I'm going to work profusely to try to get some type of concessions, be it in the bill or on the sideline agreements, as it relates to the issues that I feel are so important to the people of this country and so important to me as a member of Congress.
Did the president mostly use the carrot or the stick in his meeting with you now?
He used neither. He listened because I wanted to talk to the president. It was my time to talk to him versus him talking to me. I heard a lot from him over the weekend by radio and television. I wanted to tell him my views and how I feel so passionate about certain views that I have.
What did you tell him about the White House willingness to compromise on some of the social spending in the bill? Because all the signals yesterday were that they would whittle down some of that social spending. What did you tell him?
I would hope not. I mean, but still, I mean, I always think and I don't want to call them social spending as much as prevention. I always think, I think today that the prevention is in jeopardy. I mean, we got to come back to this Congress and get money from this Congress to fund that prevention package. So the prevention is not a given because we passed the crime bill. It does not guarantee that we get $8 billion in prevention. That only authorizes $8 billion, and we're going to have legislators who are going to decide between prevention and deficit reduction. And in my relationship with this Congress, I just feel that there are going to be a lot of members who are going to want to put that money in deficit reduction.
I'm unclear about something, sir. At a minimum, what kind of concession would it take, letter or some understanding, in order to get you to vote for the rule?
I think there needs to be some intent of the Attorney General, be it a message from the President, or be it the Attorney General on our own effort, to make it very clear to 94 U.S. attorneys that we have in this country, when we apply the death penalty, it needs to be applied in a fair manner because right now African Americans are disproportionately affected by the death penalty all across the country. We have 6 people in this country, approximately 6 people in this country that are facing the death penalty on federal crimes. All 6 of them are African Americans. That issue must be addressed. Secondly, I would hope that there is a serious concession, a serious commitment to the funding of the, irrespective of how I vote on the final bill, for the funding of the prevention. Make sure the same people who vote for this package today, tomorrow, come back here next year and vote for the full package, including the prevention in monies in the bill.
What is it that the Attorney General or the President has to say about the death penalty? Please apply it fairly?
No. I think the U.S. attorneys need to submit something to the Justice Department, and there needs to be a clear review as to whether or not the implementation or the use of the death penalty is warranted, and therefore you take race out of the issue, out of the debate. If that's not done, then I think you're going to have 94 zealous U.S. attorneys in this country seeking the death penalty, because crime is a big issue, and people commit crimes off the street forever for some reason, and we can find ourselves executing a lot of people in the future if we don't take that.
The President said he was inclined to do something like that?
I don't think the President is adverse to doing something like that.
Well,
what time is your meeting with Janet Reno?
I think the President is going to look at that option very seriously, and I think there's a strong possibility he will.
And what time is your meeting with the Attorney General?
We have not set the time of our meeting at this point. I will meet with her today because I want to talk to her about the death penalty.
More members of Congress undecided coming over here today?
I have no idea.
Did you tell the President you were still undecided on this issue?
Yes. The President realized that.
Congressman Cleo Fields of Louisiana spoke with reporters today at the White House on the crime bill. The freshman Democrat was one of 58 Democrats who voted against